What's up, everybody? It's sports time. I'm Jason Hugh, and this is my NFL Week 13 preview and predictions. So let's get right into it. First off, we have the Cleveland Browns visiting the Tennessee Titans. This one will be an absolute slugfest because both teams' offenses are predicated on the run. Tennessee with Derrick Henry, and Cleveland with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I think the key to this game will be who will establish the run first and gain the early lead. I think the team that gains the early lead will have the advantage because of both teams' dedication to the run. I think it'll be very hard for each team's passing attack to allow them to come back if they fall behind early. I do like Ryan Tannehill more than Baker Mayfield because Ryan Tannehill, he has made big plays, especially early on in the season, where he actually may have looked like a fringe MVP candidate. But Baker Mayfield, on the other hand, to me, it seems like the more he throws, the more he tries to make big plays, the worse he gets. So I don't think Baker Mayfield would be too capable of helping the Cleveland Browns come back if they fall behind early in this one. Tennessee does have not the best passing attack, ranked 23rd in the league right now. So maybe Mayfield and the Browns could take advantage of that. I don't really know though. But I think Tennessee will win this one, but a score of 25-20, but it will be close. So I'm definitely going to be watching this one on Sunday night. All right, let's move on to our next game between the LA Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. This one will be a close game, big divisional game. The Rams are trying to establish the number one seed in the division. The Cardinals are trying to stay alive in the playoff race. I think if the Cardinals lose this one, it's going to be super tough on them to come back. The Cardinals actually haven't won since that Hail Mary pass to DeAndre Hopkins against the Bills. So the Cardinals will definitely will be looking to bounce back in the win column. The Rams are coming off a loss to the Niners, where once again the offense didn't look too well. Goff had many chances to win the game because the defense kept on getting stops, but eventually they weren't able to stop the Niners and Nick Mullins. I think this one, Kyler Murray will have to get the ball out quick. He's going to really rely on Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald, and DeAndre Hopkins in this one because Aaron Donald is going to be coming down and wreaking havoc on the line. The Rams defense will be stout again. I'm going to be looking at a matchup between Ramsey, who Jalen Ramsey really covers. I think it'll be DeAndre Hopkins. That will be a really key matchup in this one. But I do think that the Rams will take this one by the score of 24-20. But again, it really comes down to the offense versus the Rams defense. And if Jared Goff is able to make those plays when needed, he has had some big wins so far, especially against the Bucs a few weeks ago. So, I think LA will take this one though. So let's move on to our next game, and that'll be the Dallas Cowboys and the Baltimore Ravens. So I think Lamar Jackson isn't available for this one, but nonetheless, I think Baltimore will have a good time in this game. I don't think they'll really struggle against the Cowboys. The Cowboys, they really don't have anything going for them right now. They had a nice win against the Vikings a couple weeks ago, but then responded with a big loss to the Washington football team. They did not look good in that game. The Cowboys, they'll need to have big games from one of their star players, like maybe an Ezekiel Elliott, who has been really bad this season. They'll need big plays from maybe CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Andy Dalton. We know he's capable of doing things due to this time with the Bengals. The Ravens, I think they'll be good this game. Their defense will show up again. I really don't see any way that the Cowboys can really muster up any offense or really beat the Baltimore Ravens in this one. RG3, I think, is a pretty good quarterback for the system. He approximates everything that Lamar Jackson does. He can run the ball. Obviously, not as good as Lamar, but he can run the ball and he can simulate some of the things that Lamar is able to do. So yeah, so I think the Baltimore Ravens will take this 23-13. All right, let's move on to our next game between the Buffalo Bills and the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners had a really nice game against the Rams last week. Their defense really showed up down the stretch, and Nick Mullins was able to get them the win in the crucial moments of the game. The Bills do have the 7th ranked passing attack with 268.1 yards per game. So I think Buffalo will really need to overcome that 49ers defense. So I think Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, and I think they're really going to need to have a big game because the Niners defense looks pretty good, one of the best in the league. However, I don't think Mullins will be able to really do a lot down the stretch because of Buffalo. They themselves have a really good defense. It'll come down to a pretty close game. I'm not sure if Mullins can really come through. Josh Allen, I believe in him. He's a big-time quarterback. He's going to be a star in this league. I think the Bills will take this one because of Josh Allen over Nick Mullins. And I think the Buffalo Bills will take this one 25-20. All right, let's move on to our next game. And that is between the Washington football team and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers last week, I think they looked okay against the Baltimore Ravens. Wasn't their best one of the season, obviously, but they got the win nonetheless, and they're still undefeated. Bud Dupree injury, I think, will be a big hit to the Steelers. Will have a big hit to the Steelers' defense. So we'll see how they respond without Dupree in the lineup. Pittsburgh has given up the least amount of sacks this season, so the defensive, so the line is protecting Ben Roethlisberger pretty well, but they are going up against a pretty good Washington pass rush. Washington has the third ranked pass rush in the league right now, so I'm going to be really looking at the play on the line of scrimmage this game. And I think that'll be really important. Ben Roethlisberger, he has a bunch of weapons to throw to. He has Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson. He has a lot of weapons around him, so I think they'll be okay there. And Pittsburgh themselves have a pretty good pass rush themselves. They actually have the most amount of sacks per game and leading the league. So I think they'll give Alex Smith a really hard time. They'll have him pressured. Washington will need a big game from Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson because of the amount of pressure that the Steelers will bring onto Alex Smith. And obviously, Alex Smith coming off that injury, I don't know if he'll be able to scramble out of the pocket and make plays. So I think the line of scrimmage will be a really key factor in this one. So I do have the Pittsburgh Steelers moving on, staying undefeated and getting the win 24-18 against the Washington football team. All right, moving on to our next game. We have the Denver Broncos against the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think this will be a really competitive game. I think the Chiefs' offense is just way too good. With Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman. They have Le'Veon Bell in the backfield, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think the Kansas City offense is just way too good right now, and the Broncos defense obviously isn't too good. The Broncos will actually have an actual quarterback this time, so they'll probably muster up more offense than they did against the Saints last game. Um, yeah, I don't think the Denver Broncos can really do much here. They have injuries to Jerry Jeudy and Philip Lindsay, so like those are some pretty integral parts of the offense. I just don't really see the Broncos doing much here. I think the Kansas City Chiefs take this easily, 35-20. All right, let's move on to our next game, and this is between the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Chargers. This will probably, I think, be the closest game out of all the games this week. The Patriots are looking like they might actually miss the playoffs for the first time in like forever. But I think Bill Belichick will have them ready for this game. It's a game that's very crucial to the Patriots season. If they lose this, they're going to be in a really tight spot. The Pats will need to find a way to contain Joey Bosa in this one. Cam Newton, the Pats will, I think, rely predominantly on the short passes from Cam Newton, and maybe rely on Cam Newton's running. I think Justin Herbert will have a good game in this one. Again, he's been fantastic so far this season. The Patriots passing D, not too good. So I definitely think Herbert will take advantage of it, and he will have a good game. But I think in the end, it'll still be close. The Chargers have shown that they can lose in pretty much any way. They've lost a game. You lost games in as many ways as you can count. I think the Patriots will win this one because of the Chargers' inability to win games down the stretch. Bill Belichick, much better coach than Anthony Lynn. But yeah, I think the Patriots will take this one in a nail biter, 25-23. All right, let's move on to our next game, and that is between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. In this one, I will be looking at the Philadelphia run game. Like, will Peterson finally utilize the run a bit more? Because the Eagles' run game, they have actually been averaging 5 yards a carry. So I'm wondering why Peterson's not using the run game too much right now. I mean, Miles Sanders, he's a pretty good running back. I'm also wondering how much we'll see Jalen Hurts in this one. We've seen him for one snap, two snaps, the previous game. Completed a 6-yard pass, and then Carson Wentz went right back in there. Obviously, Carson Wentz will need to not turn the ball over, keep the ball safe. The Packers, I think Aaron Rodgers will once again have a nice game. Darius Slay, though, he didn't look too good last week against the Seattle Seahawks, particularly against Metcalf. Metcalf had a big play there on Darius Slay, so we'll see how Darius Slay rebounds this game, because the Green Bay Packers have Devontae Adams, so I'm really looking to see if Darius Slay can shut down Adams, or will it be much of the same as what DK Metcalf did to him last week. I think it's Darius Smith and the Green Bay Packers pass rush will get to Carson Wentz. The Eagles have given up the most sacks this season. Their line has been particularly hit by injuries. We thought they'll have one of the best lines coming into this game. coming into the season, but with the injuries, they're looking pretty bad right now. So I'm gonna be watching for the Packers pass rush to get the Carson Wentz in this one. So I do think the Packers will take this 30-23, and Philadelphia's struggles will continue. Moving on to the next game between the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. A few weeks ago, we seen the Saints put a beating onto the Atlanta Falcons, so that was really bad. But Atlanta rebounded with a huge game against the Las Vegas Raiders. So I think the Falcons will be better prepared for this one, because of being played last a few weeks ago against the New Orleans Saints. I think they'll be more prepared, but I mean they were the team that had that big brain fart against the Cowboys earlier this season. So who knows? I think they'll have a better game plan though. Um, the Saints defense, though, they've been looking like monsters right now. They had a monster defensive game against the Broncos and a monster defensive game against the Atlanta Falcons a couple weeks ago. Although the Saints were not really going up against a quarterback in Kendall Hilton against the Denver Broncos. Um, I think Matt Ryan will definitely need to get going here. He has been relatively silent this season. Hasn't been really playing too well throughout this season. So I think so Matt Ryan will need to have a good game if they want to have any shot of winning. Taysom Hill has been looked pretty good the first two starts of his career. So yeah, this will be a close game, I think, due to them having played a couple weeks ago. But I still have the Saints winning 27-24 in a close matchup. Moving on to the next game, we have the Las Vegas Raiders against the New York Jets. Nothing much to say about this one. I mean, the New York Jets have been just abysmal this season. The Las Vegas Raiders, I think they'll easily take this one 30-20. Although the Raiders, they've been up and down this season. They played the Kansas City Chiefs pretty well in the couple games they have played against them. Sometimes they look good. Sometimes they have looked bad, particularly last week against the Falcons. So I'm looking for Derek Carr and Darren Waller, Nelson Aguilar, Henry Ruggs. They'll have a big night against this weak New York Jets passing defense. Yeah, I think the Raiders will take this one 30-20. It's going to be, I think they'll have a good time. Moving on to the next game between the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. Both teams, haven't had good seasons. The Detroit Lions finally fired Matt Patricia. It's about time. The Chicago Bears have a quarterback dilemma. Both quarterbacks not been particularly playing too well. Trubisky will probably get the start in this one against the Lions. I think the Chicago defense will play really, really well. Maybe not so well. They didn't play too good last time against the Packers, but I think they'll rebound with a very good game. This game against this Detroit offense. Detroit will be looking for DeAndre Swift to come back and establish the run game against the Bears. They'll probably need that because I don't think relying on Matthew Stafford relying on Matthew Stafford and the passing game will be enough for the Detroit Lions because of that awesome Chicago Bears defense. I don't really believe in Chicago's offense too much though. Mitch Trubisky obviously hasn't been too good this season. Regardless of who Chicago puts in there, I don't really trust their offense right now. The Chicago Bears lack a run game. It's not good for Chicago, but I do think they will pull a win out of this one though against the Lions. The Lions is just I don't really believe in the Lions. I just don't feel them. I think the Chicago Bears defense will will really wrap this game up. Moving on to the next game between the Jaguars and the Vikings. Jacksonville, they've been in a few one possession games recently, so I think they're playing a little bit better. Minnesota's that kind of team where, I think they'll lose a game against a really bad team. They look like the type of team to lose a game against a bad team, but I don't really think they'll lose against the Jaguars this time. I think Jefferson and Adam Thielen coming back. I think Kirk Cousins and them will have a big night against this Jaguars defense. Jaguars defense isn't very good. But again, the Vikings still have to be careful because they did lose to the Cowboys a few weeks back, so they'll need to be careful. Mike Glennon had a pretty good game against the Cleveland Browns last week, so that's more cause to pause for the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings don't have that good of a passing defense, so I'd watch out for Mike Glennon. He might, have another good game, and the Minnesota Vikings could be in trouble, but I don't really see that happening. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, they're probably gonna just feast on this Jaguars passing defense. So I think the Vikings will take this one by the score of 28-21. All right, so let's move on to our next game between the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. Obviously, the Texans will be relying really heavily on Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson has been probably the best, if not maybe one of the best quarterbacks in recent weeks. Deshaun Watson is just a stud. He's been playing really well. The Texans do have a really bad defense, so I expect the Colts and Philip Rivers to really take advantage of this. The Colts have been looking pretty good recently. They had that big win against the Packers in overtime. So I do expect the Colts to have a good night against the Texans. I think someone to watch out. For in the future though is Michael Pittman. I think Michael Pittman has been coming up. So watch out for Michael Pittman. Will Fuller getting suspended will be a big hit towards the Houston offense. They didn't really have much to begin with. But Will Fuller, that will be a very big hit to the Houston Texans. J.J. Watt will need to, and that Houston pass rush will need to apply pressure onto Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers obviously isn't much of a runner. So I think if they put pressure on Philip Rivers has been prone to turn the ball over. So if the Houston Texans want to win this game, I think it'll come down to just putting pressure on Philip Rivers. But the problem with that is the Colts have one of the best pass rush protection in the league. So I don't think the pressure will come. I think the Colts will take this one 30-25, and Deshaun Watson will be the only thing keeping this game relatively close. Moving on to the next game, we have the Cincinnati Bengals against the Miami Dolphins. Cincinnati with no Joe Burrow this game because of that nasty injury. I don't really expect the Bengals to really do much this game. Joe Mixon is out, so I'm not too sure how they'll even establish the run. I think the Dolphins will probably take this one pretty convincingly. There's not much to say here. The Bengals, I don't really see them doing much. So let's move on to the next game between the Giants and the Seahawks. Obviously, Russell Wilson has been playing very well. MVP candidate throughout the first half of the season. Kind of fallen off a little bit recently, but nonetheless, Russell Wilson is still a premier quarterback. The Giants, I don't really know if they'll have Daniel Jones. I think Colt McCoy will be getting the start in this one. Colt McCoy, I don't really expect him to really do much. Although the Seattle defense has been like really bad throughout overall this season. Although the Seattle defense, they made some big plays. They had that big sack against Kyler Murray against the Cardinals a couple weeks ago to secure the win, and then just last week, big plays again, a big interception in the end zone against Carson Wentz. I think the Seattle defense is getting better, but overall though it's not good. So they'll have to be careful. Be careful there. Um, yeah, I think Russ is going to be cooking this game with Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Uh, Having Chris Carson back and having a run game will help the Seattle Seahawks a lot. They'll be able to, control the clock a little bit better. Give Russ a couple plays off here and there, and not rely on him too much to secure the win for them. So yeah, I think Seattle will take this one 30-17. And that will be it and that's all the games for this week. If you guys have any questions for me to answer in future videos, or if you guys want to have put your own predictions down, just put them in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to be reading the comments after this. So thank you guys for watching, and that's my predictions for the Week 13 of the NFL season. See you guys later.